Back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am so lucky to be not once, not twice, but with three times the ladies, the beautiful women of the Spooky Tuesday podcast. Ladies, let's start with you, Chelsea. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you, Ken?
I am doing so well. This is so exciting for me. And to me, it's on the bottom, but to you guys, she'll be popping up here in a second. This is Monica. Monica, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing really well today, actually. This is I've been excited for this all day long, so this is going to be amazing.
I'm glad I could cause some excitement for you. And over here, we have our all favorite final girl, Sydney. Sydney, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing way better now.
Sydney is the final girl of the three of us, I would say.
Thank you.
I hate this discourse. They try to do this to me every time. They always try to say I would die first in a horror movie. It's not nice and it's not kind.
If it makes you feel any better, like Drew Barrymore died first, and look at the impact that she had. So remember that,
True.
Chelsea. Dying first is not always a bad thing, okay?
I'll just be an icon, I guess.
Oh,
and we'll never forget you, you know?
So I do want to give a little bit of background about your podcast real quick before we go into the reason why we're here. It is a weekly horror movie podcast hosted by these three beautiful women who love fake blood, making everything gay, and Matthew Lillard. It's punk rock, baby. Yes. Salt Lake City Punk is my favorite Matthew Lillard movie, so I had to throw that out there. They are breaking down all their favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the newest scary day of the week. And like I said, you got Monica Height, Chelsea Duff, and Sydney Thompson. This is really weird. Tonight, I used to having three people here, so my hands are moving all over the place.
You're surrounded.
Yeah, I know, right? Geez, three beautiful women surrounding me. It's not like high school at all. But the good thing about this is you do not have to go far to try to find these ladies, because not only are they here with me tonight, but when you want to find them after this, all their social media links and the podcast link is all down here in the description. So make sure you're giving that a click. Make sure you're following them on social media, and make sure you subscribe to the podcast, because not only are they easy on the eyes, that is not important whatsoever, because they're great writers. They're very intelligent. They're very knowledgeable about the horror genre. So the important parts come through as well, not just the superficial parts. So that's a big reason why I wanted to work with these ladies, because they are very, very well versed in the horror genre. They know what they're talking about. They do their research, and they're a lot of fun. They have a great camaraderie. So let's start with you this time, Monica. What started the Spooky Tuesday podcast? What got you ladies working together?
Oh, okay. So Sydney and I know each other from working in radio together. We worked at iHeart together. Chelsea and I know each other from high school. We go way, way back. But Sydney and I had always talked about having a podcast, and specifically in the pandemic, we're bored as hell watching a lot of scary movies. We've always loved scary movies, and we talked about starting one together. Meanwhile, Chelsea created a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pandemic tradition called the Spooky Crew, where every Tuesday we would meet and we'd watch horror movies together to, kind of forget about the woes of the earth, and come together over our shared love of blood and guts. And so, Sydney and I were like, this would be way better if we also had Chelsea involved. And so we hit her up. She said yes. And the Spooky Tuesday was born in October of 2020. So a pandemic baby.
Yeah, that's Sledgehammer Horror. Funny enough,
Awesome.
For people that are repeat viewers, they know this story, but I grew up in a video store. I was very lucky. My parents owned a video store when I was a kid. We had a mom and pop shop. And my job throughout the week was to take back the VCR tapes, the VHSs that people were not kind enough to rewind, and put them in our VCR rewinder, and then go put the movie back on the shelf. And if I did that at the end of the week, I got to take home one Nintendo cartridge and one movie. And
the dream.
That is amazing.
Right? And my first horror movie has been like a party favorite for me for a long time. Like, we go to bonfires, we sitting around, now we just start talking about first horror movies. And during the pandemic, I was laid off, and my wife, who's a respiratory therapist, Ashley, was not. And she was like, wow, you're annoying the hell out of me. You need a hobby.
She's like, get a project.
This was born out of that. So I completely understand and respect where you guys are coming from. I would never wish COVID on anybody. I'm so sorry for anybody that suffered throughout this pandemic, but I try to be a glass half full type of guy, and there are many great things that have come out of this pandemic. So if we could focus on that, I think we could be a little better off. So that's amazing. So Sydney, now I want to ask you a question too before we actually get started on why we are here. Spooky Tuesday is something that, like I said, it's very informal in the horror genre. What is your favorite part about being a part of this podcast?
Oh God. I love our discourse, honestly. And one, so much thank you for thinking that we write anything and that it's not just off the fly on our brains at all times, because it is.
Chelsea writes all of the description.
Chelsea writes our thing.
Chelsea writes even more intelligent, honestly.
But our podcast is just us coming in with maybe some research.
Hey, I research a lot.
Just us being like, we're gonna have a conversation, and just having that conversation is my favorite part. Like actually sitting there being like, because I'll watch a movie and I'll just be like, oh God, what are they gonna think? Or oh God, are they gonna like this part that I think is really funny? And sometimes they don't.
We're not always in perfect unity. And we also all freak out. Like I made everyone watch Fresh, and I thought they all hated it. And I was like, well, let's just cancel the whole episode if everybody doesn't like it. Turns out they actually all liked it. But
very scary movie being a female in the dating world.
Yes. Or like Monica and I like to bully Chelsea a lot sometimes when she has a wrong opinion.
Yeah,
about
unfortunately.
I'm actually always right, but sometimes they get it wrong. And it does make me question myself, but I stay strong ultimately in my opinions.
To be honest with you, I understand where you're coming from, because there was one time in the 90s I was wrong. So I know it can happen to all of us. So
we've all been there once.
We've all been there.
No more than only one singular time. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad day in Kennytown. I'll tell you that right now. So I do want to remind you guys one last time, social media links, podcast link, everything is down here in the description. And you're not doing a disservice to me, and you're not doing a disservice to these ladies if you're not subscribing and following. You're doing a disservice to yourself, because I thought that these were all well written. Apparently they are ad-libbed, and it makes them much more intelligent than me, because I have a big script that I go off of every single time. So I'm that guy that sits at the computer like, I need to make sure everything is spell checked. I need to make sure everything is done right. That's me. And you guys are just like, fuck this guy, I'm just gonna talk.
Well, we do like to call ourselves three beautiful idiots, which gives us space for errors. There's margin for error there.
There's margin for error.
Okay, I will start working on my looks so I can get there as well.
Okay.
See, like you guys have that. I look like the goat from Chronicles of Narnia, so I don't have that luxury.
What a
love
reference.
Mr. Tubness.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Tubness, one, cute. Two, you have a dope man bun, so you've got it going on. Don't worry. And you also have the aesthetic of your setup. I just want to comment on that. Like, I keep looking at Mike in the back and getting very freaked out. So 10 out of 10.
I try to decorate accordingly, and let that be our segue. We got Mikey here. Like, what's up, ladies? You got any dogs? So we are going to go around the room real quick, and we're going to talk about the reason why we're here. So you guys know that you can follow these ladies on social media and subscribe to their podcast by the links in the description. I lied when I said it was one last time. I'll probably do it again. But also, we are here to talk about the past. So I do want to go back to the past here for a second. Let's start with you, Chelsea. Your first horror movie. And Chelsea, your first horror movie was?
My first horror movie that I have any memory of is Jurassic Park 2. I'm pretty sure it was like Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 2 at the same time. Maybe also Jurassic Park 3. But I had to really ask around and do some research to try and get to the bottom of this. Because I like know for sure I watched them, but I'm pretty sure I was so afraid that I was just like covering my eyes and running out of the room for most of it. Because it was like the third grade. But I was asking everybody, and I asked my brother, and he was like, oh, I remember mine. It was Jurassic Park. Dad took me to the theater. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. because they put it on actually when I was like back east in the East Coast for my pop-pop's funeral, and they thought that was a lovely idea to stick all the kids in the basement with the Jurassic Park movies. And it was very scary. That's gonna make them feel so much better, you guys. Everyone's gonna love this. It's gonna be a thrill, and it was thrilling. I'll say that it was for sure thrilling.
And I want to just real quickly, sidebar. Not only is it amazing that we're talking about the Lost World Jurassic Park 2, because I have yet to talk about that movie on the podcast, but the fact that you immediately went into Jurassic Park as a horror movie, I defend this.
It's so scary.
It's a monster movie.
Totally. Like, and I remember when Jurassic Park was put on the cover of Fangoria, and people went fucking ape shit. They were like, "What? This isn't a horror movie. It's a Spielberg movie." I was like, "So was Jaws."
Oh my god!
Come on.
Total
okay,
horror movie.
No,
like
Jurassic Park is for sure a horror, and I say that with a little bit of a motive because I think that lets The Mummy also be a horror movie, and I want to do The Mummy on our podcast, and that's non-negotiable. So it's a horror movie.
The Mummy is absolutely a horror movie because one, it's a Universal monster movie, even though it's a remake. You could say the same thing about the Invisible Man that just came out, the Dracula movie. It's a Universal monster remake. Two, those fucking bugs that crack and go into their skin. As a kid, I was
horrifying.
Like still to this day, scares the hell out of me. Absolutely.
The arm in the hole.
Total horror movie.
Oh yeah, no, I never put my arm in any hole because of that movie.
Right?
The podcast is taking on a totally different direction than I thought it was going to take.
Oh Jesus!
At least you have a reason. I just like the fact that you're like, there's a hole there, and if I had not seen The Mummy, I'd be putting my arm in that hole right now.
Knowing myself, yes, I probably would have.
So yeah, I did want to say real quick, because my big three arguments I always have: one, Jurassic Park is absolutely a horror movie, that franchise in general. Two, the original Ghostbusters is a horror comedy. While, the later ones are comedy horror, the first one's totally a horror movie first. And three is the fact that I believe The Terminator is a slasher film. I think that that's a total slasher. It's a guy under a mask that's hunting a woman to the point where he's literally going through the phone book, killing every single one with that name. He's relentlessly going after her. Like, I will die on the bed that The Terminator is not only a horror film, it's a slasher film. Now, obviously, as that franchise goes, like, that definitely goes more sci-fi as the slasher goes. But to me, that first one is a total slasher all the way. Like I said, if this guy's going through the phone book, killing every Sarah Connor, he's a slasher. He's going after his final.
Yeah. I mean, these are just definitions here. This is, thank you, because now I can do another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie on the pod. I freaking love him. So, yes, his word is law, people.
There you go. So we know Chelsea will be talking. Gosh darn it, we'll be talking about The Lost World with you now, Monica. I want to go down to you real quick. Your first horror movie was
Signs, baby. M. Night Shyamalan. It was 2002, I think, when that came out. I'm sure I saw something else.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely,
look at that.
Got this. And I got to throw the love out here real quick. I try to have in the background of the episode things from every single person I'm talking about. I got Signs. I got Michael. I don't. Here's a raptor. So
better than anything else.
Yeah. That's not the magic word. So my Jurassic Park love is here, but all I have is the DVD in a sleeve, and I didn't want to put the DVD up here. So Chelsea, I promise you I got much love and respect. Like I said, I brought my little raptor, and as time goes on, I might bring out the T-Rex, but decoration in the background.
Little dino evolution.
You are my hero. You're amazing.
I also want to say, Monica, real quick, this is the first time I've been able to talk about Signs. I'm a big M. Night Shyamalan fan. Not so much on Old, the newest film. I could take or leave that, but well, it's art. And if someone's making art, I can appreciate that, and I hope that it has a fan base. I would never wish for anything to fail. I just feel like that's not the way to correctly live your life. If somebody's out there making art, I hope that there are people out there that are appreciating that art.
Okay.
It's not my cup of tea. I prefer to
It's
not put
not
shit
for
in my
you.
tea. So I wouldn't drink it, but I would hope that maybe you like the taste of that tea. It's just not for
Oh,
me.
You said that so sweetly.
Until the shit part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was beautiful.
Took
I
me
didn't
by
want it to get
surprise.
too nice.
Oh, yeah. I feel like M. Night started like God tier, and then not every movie it went downhill, but like he was pretty much like floating up there. And then it was like The Happening.
Yeah.
Except The
Really
Visit was
pushed
really
for us
fun.
to cover that, and it hasn't happened yet. But one day we're gonna do The Happening. But no spoilers. No spoilers.
It's funny because my favorite M. Night movie is Devil. I think Devil like rocked me to my core. Like I love that
Devil is
movie.
fun. Devil
And-
is so much fun. What a
And-
concept. There's 8
I
people
know.
in the
It's
elevator,
so
and one of
good.
them is the devil.
Yeah,
Incredible.
we're in a room full of people, and one of them is the devil.
There you go.
We have to do that one. Ooh, yeah.
Please.
But
Oh, please. If you ever need a guest for that one, I know a guy that would talk the shit out of that
hell
movie.
yeah. Hell yeah.
But the
yeah,
thing about
Signs
M.
was
Night-
like Signs scared the poop out of me as a little kid. That's all I need is that alien. Just seeing him one time, it was over. And now I'm obsessed with aliens. And so, started
It
somewhere.
was formative.
the best thing about that scene is the timing. For those of you that don't know, we're talking about the birthday party scene where you got the young children that are
scene.
looking out the window and they're talking, and you could barely see him there in the bushes. And then finally you have the timing of him walking out, and Joaquin Phoenix just like you have that, the intensity of that, because this movie is absolutely a slow burn. Like you do have
For
that slow
sure.
burn that comes along with this movie, and you're constantly, something's going to happen. Ooh, there's crop circles. Something's going to happen. Oh no, his wife. Oh, he was a preacher and now he's not a preacher because his wife had a tragic accident. M. Night. So the Signs has that slow burn, but the payoff got shit on a lot, and it really bums me out because these things, they're not of planet Earth. So
Yeah.
who's to say that water is not their kryptonite? I love the originality that the thing that sustains us is dangerous to somebody. That's why they've never come here before, because what sustains us is a kryptonite to them. That's what destroys them.
Mhm.
That's why you don't have aliens coming here, because this planet, rain itself, is going to kill them.
Yeah.
So
No,
they
I
can't
love
hide
that.
from this thing. Yeah, that's what I've always. And everybody's like, "Oh, they died from water." So would I, motherfucker. Like, piss off. They dumped a bunch of water down my throat. I'm dying too.
Yes.
but I think it's an original idea. This thing that sustains life for us is the thing that's a poison for another life form. I think that's brilliant. I think M. Night knocked it out of the park with that. No pun intended.
No, totally. And I also I just little aspects of the movie that were so scary, like the fact that the alien like could release that noxious gas out of its wrist. That was so horrifying. Just the image of the alien holding, I can't remember the son's name right now. But holding the son who has asthma, Morgan, holding Morgan in his arms and like spraying the poison into his lungs. Like, oh my God, it's so terrifying. And like, I also like, I'm not super religious. So like the religious part of it, like, I liked it because of the way that it played out, but I love that like everything had its like meaning at the end, like the swing away and all of the water cups. As someone who used to leave water cups literally everywhere all the time, as well as a kid, I was like, there's a reason. Not gonna
I
stop
can't
doing that
imagine
now.
the water circles on your furniture when you were a kid. My wife is at the hospital right now, like, someone left it out there without a coaster. Like, that's her mom mode right there. And before I move to you, Sydney, I do want to tap into something you just said, Monica, before I move to Sydney. I dare someone that's watched this movie to tell me they did not cry when Morgan opened his eyes and said, "Daddy, did someone save me?" Yes. Mel Gibson, yes, someone did. And then you see him with his preacher outfit on again, like for him to come full circle, realizing the loss. So he turned his back on God, but then he realized, God, if you're going to praise God for the good and blame him for everything evil, you're not going to live your life. God gives you free will. Things that happen on this earth don't always come from God or Satan. Humans make choices, and that's what happens. And you know, him having asthma in his mind now, him having asthma was the reason that this happened. You know, his lungs were closed. He tried to put the poison in. It didn't work. Writing. I'm sure M. Night didn't ad-lib that one, ladies. You know, just super, super brilliant writing. And you watch it, and that's what I love about M. Night. And I've said this a lot. Like, you look at The Sixth Sense, the worst thing about The Sixth Sense is the ending. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just the ending of that movie is so intelligent and so brilliant. It takes away from how great the rest of the film is. Because when people talk about The Sixth Sense, it's always the twist ending, the twist ending, the twist ending. Dude, when Misha Barton is puking in that tent, or when you have them in the hallway and the kid looks over and you see the people that are hanging in the school is another, just the performance in the car when he's like, you asked your mom something at the grave and she wanted me to tell you every day. What'd you ask her?
Do I make her proud?
I got little emo goosebumps right now. But there's so many amazing scenes in this movie, and everybody just looks at the ending and it's like, guys, this is a very well written, very well acted movie. Please just watch it again and stop it at that moment.
Stop it right before. I mean, it became a meme. The end became a meme. And so it kind of like went beyond the film itself. Like, everyone knows the ending of that movie. Not everyone has seen it. But yeah, I mean, with Signs, though, like you said, I just think I love it when something like there's so many pieces and they come together into this perfect puzzle, you know, at the end. And I mean, they really did tie it up with a bow. And sometimes that's annoying, but it was really good in this one. And it's not that scary of a movie. I get that. I've watched it as an adult and it's still really scary, but you know what I mean? But this is why like Sydney and Chelsea, Sydney in particular is not as big of a fan as the slow burn as I am, but I've been a slow burn bitch from the beginning. You can see it right here.
That's
like
awesome.
My favorite, another one of my favorites is The Witch. That is a slow burn as well.
Oh God.
Yes, it is.
Sorry, Sydney.
It's definitely a slow burn, but I think Hereditary is a slow burn too, and that's my favorite movie theater experience I've ever had in my life. So
I lost my mind in the theater for that movie.
Oh my gosh. We went opening night, and when the scene happened, I literally looked at my wife and was like, the fuck? Oh my god!
I can't imagine what it would have been like to see that scene without already knowing about that scene, because that scene was everywhere by the time I saw it.
I had no idea. I was with my two friends.
That got ruined for you guys.
Yeah.
But it was what got me to watch the movie, because I was like, okay, tell me more. I'm interested. I'm intrigued.
I'm interested.
Right. I want to keep that. I mean, that sounds like fun to watch. So Sydney, let's bounce to you real quick. We know what Chelsea's first horror movie was. We know what Monica's was, but yours had to start somewhere as well. So we know that you can't kill the boogeyman, but what was your first horror movie, Sydney?
Mine was Halloween, and I was way too young. Shout out to Mark, my father, who so my first like toe into horror was actually the Goosebumps TV show that they had. And it was The Mask, the big scary mask, because I read all the books and the TV show came on and I was like, Dad, I love this. And I had to ask him about it. And he was like, yeah, you wanted to watch more horror movies. And I was like, well, Halloween's my favorite one and there's no blood in it. So it's perfect for like a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
I love that you start with, viewer beware, you're in for a scare. Like, you start with Goosebumps and your dad's like, oh, a mask? I got the perfect movie. That's like, hey, I tried marijuana. Oh, you did? I got some meth. Come try this. It's just the same thing.
Mark was just like, well, if you're gonna be into horror, we're gonna start you off right. And it was one of the only horror movies that he would watch. And because he hates jump scares, he hates like a lot of regular horror movies, but he loved Halloween. So he was like, a perfect father-daughter bonding moment for me and my 6-year-old.
That's so, I mean, look, I get it, man, because I'm a father. I have a 13-year-old son, a 9-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old daughter. And my 2-year-old is obsessed with Michael Myers. She loves him. Michael Myers, Michael Myers, Michael Myers. My 9-year-old, she's on the spectrum, so horror movies aren't really her thing, but she loves Chucky. Child's Play, she loves it. She could quote the whole movie. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Oh,
My son's like, whatever. I just think
around.
that as long as you educate along with, it's just like anything else, as long as you have the education to go along with it. I feel like young kids that are into horror, actually, as long as they get the education to go along with it, this isn't fake, this isn't real, there are consequences to your actions, they grow up to be more grounded in reality because they've learned the difference between fantasy and reality, and we see the difference. I don't think it's the opposite, man. I'm calling bullshit on Billy and Stu. Horror movies don't create bad guys. I think that they help ground us into reality and what is real life, because we're watching fantasy and we're living a fantasy, but we know that's not real. But like I said, just like anything else, I hate to sound like a broken record, education is key. Sex education, moderation, alcohol. When you're older, you want to drink, you drink. That's fine. You don't drive a car. You got to be responsible. You have to have education. You can't be a dumbass. Those 3 things. My Red Foreman father part's coming out of me now. But as long as you're educated on everything, you're good to go.
I'm 31 and I haven't stabbed anybody with a knife yet. So,
there's still time.
Listen,
that's pretty
good
track record so far.
0, but
I'm just saying, a river long enough contains no bends. You never know when the bend's going to happen. I mean,
exactly.
I'm just saying, if you do, you were with me that night. Never happened. So Chelsea, I want to bounce back to you real quick, and I want to talk real quick about the Lost World Jurassic Park. Now, one, I love you for choosing that, not for choosing this movie, but for considering it a horror movie, not being like, I would pick Jurassic Park, but that's not a horror. Let's get horrific with Jurassic Park. Which scene was it that, with the Lost World, I'm sorry, Jurassic Park 2, which scene was it from the Lost World that affected you the most?
Yeah, I actually had to Google it because, like I said, I was very afraid. I ran away and hid. But I remembered that they were like in a car that had gone over the edge, and they were like teetering on the edge, needing to be pulled out. And I did a little research, and I found that it was the scene in Jurassic Park 2 where they're in the trailer. And when I went looking for the scene to send you a link, I watched it again, and I was like, this is honestly, it has you so on the edge of your seat. The trailer's like gone over the cliff. They get like a winch to pull it out. Dr. Aaron Glassman from The Good Doctor, by the way, is the guy who gets the winch. But they're in the trailer, and the woman like falls on the glass. It's like spider web cracking all around her. It's a race against time. Also, there's dinosaurs somewhere out there, so it's a race against time on that front too. But I just remember them like being on the edge, waiting to be pulled back up, trying to get them back up. That was it for me. That was all that imprinted in here.
See, watching that scene for me, I knew it was going to be okay. Goldblum. I knew that Jeff wouldn't let nothing happen. Sure. I was like, listen, I know how well you are at making things with monkeys and flies and whatnot. So I'm sure everything's going to be safe, Jeff Goldblum. But you're right. And what I love about that scene is right then you have the 2 T-Rexes come and they look at Dr. Glassman, which is what I'm going to call him as well. And then you see him just tear into the car. And like I said, I told you I'd be bringing out the T-Rex eventually. See that scene is just like, how can you watch this and argue the fact this is a horror movie? It's a total creature feature. Like, if you think this isn't a horror movie, I dare you to go find a real Jurassic Park and tell me that you're okay. Give me a call. Hey, Ken, I'm cool. You want to talk to the T-Rex? He's right here. Let me know. Everything's fine.
They're 100%
so much room.
Horror.
There's a lot of room and interpretation for like what is horror. I tend to go like just general like scary movie, which I feel is maybe more inclusive sometimes. Jurassic Park is definitely scary for sure. So I think it counts, but I mean, like we use a very loose definition of horror on our podcast. We talk about monster movies, ghost movies. We've done some like tamer, not quite horror movies, maybe because it like falls into the general genre for us.
We are
so
Spooky Tuesday,
yes,
not
anything
Horror
that spooks
Tuesday.
you.
So
Mhm.
Well, and what I love about what you just said is horror, in my opinion, is the hardest genre to lock down and say, yes, this is a horror movie. Because you ask somebody, what makes a horror movie? Well, it's got to be scary. Well, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Large March scared the dog shit out of me. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is not, it may be the most perfect movie ever made, but it's not a horror movie. You know, well, it's got to have death. Well, The Lion King had death in it. You know, that's not a horror movie to me. So
Lion
you're
King
right.
even had murder in it. So
Exactly. So for you to come out and say this is a horror movie and that's a fact, to me is hard. It's hard to do. Because it is such, like you said, it's really open to interpretation. The scariest movie I've ever seen in my life is The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. After I watched that movie, my anxiety went absolutely crazy. I thought that was me. I thought people were watching me all the time and my life was on camera. And I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry for those things you've seen me do at night in my bed. I promise you that you were not supposed to see that. Like,
it's not for public consumption.
Nightmare.
Yes, you know, so like to me, I agree. Horror is in the eye of the beholder. You know, things that might scare you, I might think are laughable. I know people that aren't scared of clowns. I know a guy that watched A Nightmare on Elm Street one time, and to this day will not sleep with sheets on his bed after the Jesus Garcia Rod scene in the prison. Ever since he was a little boy, he said, "Fuck that. Those are dangerous. Not on my bed." And I used to have sleepovers with him,
He
and I was
just
like, "This is
sleeps
the dumbest
raw?
shit I've ever seen."
Wow.
Raw on top of the top sheet?
Huh?
No blanket?
Oh, no. He has one blanket, no sheet, most uncomfortable mattress. I was like, dude, you're gonna go to prison anyway. Like you're made.
my
Terrible. Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, talk about a movie that people find wholesome and wonderful. E.T. scared the pants off my cousin Kiki as a kid. She, if you even brought it up, she would start hysterically crying. She like to this day, she's like, absolutely not. So depends on who.
She's
on
lucky
the
she didn't
person.
know me, because every time I seen her, I'd have been like,
Poor Kiki.
Oh, no.
You're gonna bully Kiki?
That's like Sydney and I, our friend, or no, and Chelsea, our friend Cooper is very scared of oh shoot, I can't remember what they're called right now. Anglerfish, the fish with
I
the
don't
light
believe
on its
them.
head.
yeah.
That's his biggest fear. And so whenever we see him, we'll like be like, oh, I want to show you something on our phone really quickly. And then it's just a picture of an anglerfish. And he hates us.
Like, listen, we're
Bullying
just gonna
Bill's
watch this
character.
movie.
Sorry about
We're
it.
gonna have a great time. And the title cards say Finding Nemo, and he'd be like, no. So I do want to bounce to you real quick, Monica.
Yeah.
We're talking about Signs. Do you remember what your favorite scene from Signs was?
Ooh, okay. Let me think. I do really love, well, okay, anything with Joaquin Phoenix in it. I adore him. So he was so cute in this movie. But I really love the part where the kids put the foil hats on. And you walk in and they have the foil hats on and they're like, what's going on? They have their like little picture book about aliens. And it's actually incredibly accurate, the book that they have. Like when they look at it and they're like, that looks like their house. Oh, that really spooked me too. Oh my God. And then also something that I loved about it was finding out in the aftermath that was M. Night Shyamalan in the film, and he's in every single one of his films, and he's actually a really big role in this one. And I'm like, you deserve that, sir. You wrote the thing, you directed the damn thing. Star in it, honey. Go for it.
Yeah, and he did an amazing job in that role when he's having the conversation with Mel Gibson. An underrated scene I want to talk about real quick in Signs is when they go down in the basement and Morgan's over against the furnace and Joaquin Phoenix and Mel Gibson are just looking at him and he's like, what? And then you see the alien hand come out of the furnace and grab him. And yes, as a kid, I was like,
that one.
Furnace is bad. I'll be cold. That's not fun at all.
That one probably scared me as much or more than the birthday party scene, which I said was the most affecting. I would say that scene was the most affecting though, the birthday party scene, because I reenact the alien walk like all the time. It's like a party gag that year after year gets less and less effective because people care less and less about signs, but I still care.
That's one of those things where you're gonna do it and people will be like, what the fuck's wrong with her? What is she doing?
Monica,
Have you
we
ever seen
love your
Signs?
alien reenactment.
Signs all the time.
Thank
What the
you.
hell
He's
is
got
wrong?
the stature to pull it off.
And also shouts out to the pantry scene with the knife.
Oh
Terrifying.
yeah, very great. Love that scene. Anything can be used as a mirror if you make it.
God.
So Sydney, I want to bounce to you real quick with Halloween. That's most people get angry with me when I say this, but growing up, I was spoiled and I was able to watch any movie I wanted, and Halloween never did it for me. I always growing up thought that Halloween was boring. I was like, oh my God, give me Jason. He uses weapons. Michael's just like stabby, stabby, stabby. Boring. William Shatner. But as I've become older and more mature and more maybe Chad Michael Murray, like if you'd like to say that, because that guy rocks.
It's in the shirt.
Her shirt does not stand for that. It's just
No, it
I
does.
watched
It does.
I mean,
now.
House of Wax.
It does.
Who's in the
House
House
of
of
Wax.
Wax? Is what he was in.
Always.
Yeah. House of Wax is the movie that I remember seeing and like telling my friend about in middle school. I had to like go back before that. I knew there was something before that. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Just while we were on
I
the Chad
brought
Michael
that
Murray
on
House
myself
of
with the
Wax
Chad Michael Murray.
tangent.
You can't you bring him up, we're gonna go on a 20-minute Chad Michael Murray
Yeah,
tangent.
we'll go down
We're
that
gonna
road if
go
you
about
let
a
us.
House of Wax tangent always.
But like I said, I was spoiled and I didn't like Halloween. I thought that it was boring. Then I became older and I realized that it's probably the scariest of the bunch because it's just a man that's gone crazy. This isn't a kid that drowned in a lake and was brought back by the Necronomicon. This isn't a pervert that got burned up and came back in your dreams. This is a real guy that is just gone crazy and wants to hurt people. And that's scary to me because we have a lot of that in this world. So as horror fans, we love the kills. It's something we gravitate towards. It's fun. And I know how you ladies like fake blood. I had to put fake in there for disclaimer purposes.
Sure.
Sydney, which kill from Halloween, and I hate saying favorite because that's dark, but which one's your favorite?
Favorite. Is it, what's her name? Annie is my favorite, where he like strangles her in the car, and because it leads into my favorite scene of like the entire movie, because she calls Lori, and Lori thinks that she's just like boning her boyfriend and calling her at the same time, but really she's being murdered. And so but that gets Lori to go over to the other house, and you see Annie laying on the bed with Michael Myers' sister's tombstone on the bed, like laying on the bed like a dead person, and the tombstone. And then you see she discovers Linda, the body, and the body comes out like swinging from like a thing. And that was a jump scare for me at the tender old age of 6, only because it made my dad jump, which made me jump.
But
Again,
didn't phase you at all.
Mark is a little jump scare bitch. I will be gladly on record because he knows he is. But then like the scariest thing about is she does her like iconic scream, Jamie Lee Curtis, scream queen extraordinaire, but she is like backing up because she's terrified. And as she is backing up, you just see Michael Myers' creepy mask like coming out of the shadow, and it's so spooky. Also, next favorite scary scene is the opening scene. The opening scene, I
The
think, is one of
POV shot.
it's one of the best, shot scenes in my opinion in horror, because it is, you just you hear the breathing, and then you see the
breathing.
like the point of view out of the mask. You get some nice boobies in there, which is always great, but they're like respectful
plus.
boobies, you know, like
Sure.
they're tasteful boobies.
Love.
At least they weren't like cussing at us, like stabbing my kids.
Exactly.
Sure.
But then like she is like, Michael, and you pull off the mask, and it is also another 6-year-old. So
Just a personal connection there for you, said you.
like,
Mark?
it's someone like me.
Mark, are you
Mark?
trying to tell me something?
Mark.
Well, I will tell you this. 2 things about that scene. 1, I've never brushed my hair topless because of that scene. And 2, I gotta say, when they're doing the POV shot going up the stairs, that is the tallest fucking 6-year-old I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, they're doing a POV shot, and I'm like, wow, this kid is amazing. He's walking on stilts to go kill his boob-filled sister. And for those of you that just watched that scene with boobies, obviously I covered it with a Sledgehammer horror logo. I've done that before. Please don't ask me to uncover the boobies. If you want to see boobies, go watch.
Do your own YouTube
Like,
search.
yeah, like, I don't know. Like, something about me, guys, like, everybody has their trigger.
Right.
And whether they want to admit it or not, I'm too manly to have a trigger. For me, it's any type, like, nudity doesn't really push me over the edge, but sexual assault to me is something that is it's a huge trigger for me. I can't watch it. If it has sex, I literally got up and left during The Hills Have Eyes remake out, because you can do a sexual assault scene, and you can, I hate to sound like that guy, but you can do a tasteful sexual assault scene. You can make it tastefully done. It's very hard to do. Like, I'd rather see someone pushed into a door and the door shut, and my imagination can imagine what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't have to see it.
We don't need to see it.
No,
we did Hills Have Eyes
agree with
last
you.
summer. Yeah, we had a really rough time with it too.
Oh,
Another thing that really
it.
bothers me is when people come into the comments, and guys, please don't think I'm trying to bash anybody. But when you come into the comments, I know that at the beginning of this episode, I talked about how beautiful these women were. I also talked about how that's not the only trait they have. So, and when I have people come on like, oh, why'd you censor the boobies? Well, because that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about horror. We're here to be educated about people's first horror movies and what got them started in the genre that we all know and love so much. So please keep the comments about their looks and about me showing boobies to an absolute minimum if we could. Let's talk about how smart they are for being able to edit
we're
their-
hot and
Yeah. The total package.
Sorry, I knew every time I play this episode, I always get that one comment that's like, oh, you covered the boobies. Yeah, there's
That's YouTube.
If one of my
You
kids watches
guys
this
go
episode-
watch the movie.
Why do you
It's really gonna be fine.
It will be taken down. They check
So-
that stuff.
This next question, I kind of have to go out of order here. So I kind of have to go to you on this one, Monica, because this has already happened over here and it's already happened down here. But one question I've been asking people recently is, would you like to see your first horror movie remade today? Now, obviously, we have the Jurassic World franchise, which is kind of running wild right now, which I'm very excited for. The Fallen Kingdom. I think that's the new one. Whatever the new one is. I don't know.
I
It's gonna
cried
be awesome.
watching that trailer.
Yeah. And then
I was having a
Sydney,
weird
obviously,
day.
We've had Rob Zombie's Halloween, and then we've had the requels and the Halloween Kills and Evil Dies Tonight repeatedly. But we have not had a remake of Signs. Now, granted, it's not that old. Neither am I. I'm sure they'd remake me if they could. Would you like to see them remake Signs today? If it was going to happen, is that something that you would like to go and see?
I want it to be the exact same cast, though, just now.
They're still playing little children.
Right.
Abigail Breslin today.
And Rory Culkin with his little tinfoil hat on.
Damn. When I realized that was Rory Culkin, that blew my mind. Oh yeah, that was a spot on impersonation. For me, I don't need people to do the same thing again. If I'm being honest, I'm not always huge into the straight remake, have any of the Black Christmas remakes been decent? No, no, they have not.
Garbage.
Love You, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Okay, but that one
She's
was
an
bad.
icon.
She's an icon. But yeah, why, I don't think we need to remake it. If you want to do some sort of exciting sequel thing, like say what you will, but I liked the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 because I thought it was batshit insane and hilarious, and that's what I was expecting going in. So my needs were met. But I don't need them to retread the same ground. It's very rare that they get those remakes right. If it's like a true remake and they're just redoing the whole thing. So I don't need to have Signs redone. It won't hit the same if I don't have that young, sprightly, youthful Joaquin Phoenix there to guide me. So I'm cool with just sticking with 2002.
Right. Well, see, I do want to add this real quick. You talked about Texas Chainsaw 2022. If you went into that movie looking for an award-winning Oscar performance movie, you were probably disappointed.
Yeah.
If you went into that movie looking for a massacre in Texas with a chainsaw, you were probably happy.
You got it. Yeah. I saw Twitter literally explode. It felt like the app was exploding with Texas Chainsaw Massacre takes, and people were so angry. And so I waited like 2 weeks, saw how angry everyone was, angry at people for liking it, angry at people for hating it. And I was like, I'm going to go in and expect a garbage fire. And it was better than a garbage fire. And there was maybe the most fake blood I have ever seen in a horror movie, besides Nightmare on Elm Street, because there's literally a geyser, and that I don't think there's quite enough to make a geyser. I'd have to do some measurements. But
You should be sitting in front of her TV.
It's like, but the size of the bus and how much is trickling out, But yeah, I had a blast. The thing with me and the thing with, I think, most of us here, if I don't want to speak for everyone on the pod, but like we go into horror looking for a good time, it doesn't necessarily have to be like Oscar level. I like the art house shit too, don't get me wrong. I like the highbrow shit too, but God, do I love the lowbrow shit. So either
we grew up on.
Yeah, I love crap. I love crappy movies too. Sydney and I originally were going to do a podcast about bad horror movies. And then we were like, maybe we would get very tired of that.
If you do a podcast about bad horror movies, the catch is you have to watch the bad horror movies.
Oh, yeah. And every week, we got to give a shout out to Horrible Horror Podcast. They do that and they do it very well.
Awesome. That's great.
That part of the market has been met. And so we did Spooky Tuesday instead.
Yeah, we're just let's make horror gayer. That's
important. It's so important.
That's the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because one thing I hate, and everybody knows, like I really don't hate much except for fitted sheets and the word woke. I fucking hate it. I have people tell me like, oh, I hated the new woke Candyman. I'm like, have you seen the first one? Like, what the hell are you talking about? If you're going to call me woke because I care about things that are going on in the world, sure, call me woke. Now, if you're going to say horror is woke, sir, have you seen 1968's Night of the Living Dead? Like, that's a total play on being woke. The original Candyman, Tales from the Hood, all these movies that the People Under the Stairs is another good example. And you've always had these amazing messages in horror if you look for them. And you guys talk about, making horror gayer. And that's what I love about this genre is it doesn't matter if you're black, white, gay, straight, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, Republican, Democrat. The minute you're like, hey, Freddy Krueger, I'm like, hey, welcome to primetime, bitch. What's up? What you want to talk about? Like you have that genuine love and connection with someone the minute you to the point where we dress up like these people and go to convention centers to talk to other people like that. You don't get rom-com con. Now, don't get me wrong. I would dress up like Ryan Gosling.
I would love rom-com con.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a bird, I'm a bird. I'm just saying, but like that's what horror means to us. And out of everything that I love in my life that's not in this house with me all the time, it's the least gatekeep thing, I think. And I think the more the genre morphs, the happier the people in there are. I have a lot of friends that are queer, that are, that just love horror, and they've never been bashed for it. They've never been looked down on it because, oh, hey, I love horror too. What's up, man? Nothing. I'm gay. Oh, that doesn't happen. We don't care. All we care about is if you like Texas Chainsaw 2022 or not. And if you didn't, you're not a real horror fan.
Will say, like I said, we call ourselves three beautiful idiots. And I think we've been worried at times that we are not going to know things, or we're going to get things wrong, or that people would ever be mean and be like, actually, it is this, and you said it was that. But we haven't gotten that so far. People have always been really nice about stuff. Please. But generally speaking, I feel like we've been really welcomed by other podcasters, other people in the horror community online. It's been really nice.
Yeah, especially as women in the genre. I know that I was like a little nervous about like, whatever the archetype.
Oh.
I think Monica froze on us.
Monica's frozen.
I'll text her.
Either that, or she's really, really worried about the archetype.
She's committing to a bit. This is her prank moment.
This is Monica's prank. At least she looks good frozen.
Yeah, she does.
Looks gorgeous. Queen.
If she can hear us right now, she's like, I fucking hate these people. Well, Monica's frozen at the moment, guys, which honestly is lucky for her because not so much lucky. She's the lucky one here because since she got the last question, she's the last one to answer this one. And this question is going to be for all three of you, hopefully three. So I'm going to start with you, Chelsea, on this one. And you're the unlucky one because you had the least amount of time to think about it. We've talked about your ladies' first horror movies and what they've meant to you. And I've had a lot of fun doing that. But now my little buddy Ghostface here has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Chelsea? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Well, we've touched on it a little. It's hard to pick just one. I mean, there are so many great ones. I love Scream 3, which I don't think gets enough love of the Scream movies, although I feel like it's getting more these days. I also really loved Better Watch Out when we covered that last year. After I just randomly watched it on Amazon. I thought that one was really fun and surprising.
I fucking hate that kid.
And Sydney didn't like the movie, so I know it's kind of divisive. But I went in totally blind, and I would recommend anybody listening also do that. But like I said, we talked about it. House of Wax has got to be up there for us. It's so disgusting. I remember when I watched it for the first time in 5th or 6th grade, it was viscerally upsetting to me. My tip of my finger, my ankle hurt for days after I watched it.
We are talking about the Chad Michael Murray one, right? The remake.
Oh, it's important to be talking about Chad Michael Murray one. Okay. Yeah.
Chad Michael Murray rocks.
Yes,
hello.
Chad Michael Murray rocks, as we've been saying. I just I love to revisit that movie. It's so iconic. And it also is weirdly sexy. It didn't need to have sexual chemistry between twin siblings, but they sprinkled that in there for spice.
And gave us that though, and it didn't have to.
Well, I mean, we would have made it anyway.
That's not the appeal for me generally, but in that movie, the chemistry is just too strong. What did they want us to do?
Right. And what I love is I think this is the first time ever on Sledgehammer Horror that someone's favorite horror movie has been a remake. I think that's, I think someone said the thing.
I mentioned a remake. I mentioned a sequel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff out there.
Girl.
We also did Invasion of the Body Snatchers recently, and that one was actually really, really incredible. And that's also a remake, which is what made me think of it. But it was so stunning, so beautiful, a gorgeously shot and put together piece of art, but also very spooky, scary.
Donald Sutherland killed it.
He's so cute too.
I know.
Speaking of also sexy.
So you got to give me this because I may never get this opportunity again. So I know you've heard this since 2nd grade, but what's your favorite scary movie, Sydney? You got to give me that one.
Okay, but here's the thing. My favorite scary movie is Scream. I am one of my high school boyfriends was named Billy. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I am committed.
You were like, and he was fucking ugly, but he was Billy. So if
His
you're watching
name
this,
was
Billy, you may be
Billy.
good looking. I'm sorry, I don't know, buddy.
I watched a lot of horror movies when I was young, so I saw this really young, and it was funny and scary, and I
Yeah.
watch it constantly, and it has Matthew Lillard in it, who is he's so perfect. He is so good in this role. Like, and I remember seeing the live action Scooby-Doo, and I was like, oh my God, it's Stu from Scream. And everybody was
Yeah.
like, what? And I was like, Stu from Scream.
Like, that's a brown dog. What are you talking about? Like, I don't. Two quick stories, real quick, and these are both 100% true. The first tattoo I went to get was Ghostface, and the tattoo artist talked me instead into getting the Shriek. So that is still my Scream tattoo. So I've got a horror movie tattoo. I'm just throwing that out there. Two, we just recently went to Horror Hound in Cincinnati, and Matthew Lillard was there.
Matthew Lillard was there. I
was.
was just in Cincinnati, and I'm mad that I did not know that this was a thing. And I was just like,
Yeah. His line got capped. They were like, there's too many people in the line. He
Too
literally
popular.
He stood up and walked through the line and high-fived and hugged everybody that was there, just so they all got the chance to see him and meet him, because it was getting to the end of the day. And I was like, holy shit, like that legit is one of the coolest fucking things I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, this man that, the spotlight's been on him for a long time. He's been doing this for a very long time, but he still had the presence of mind to get up and high five and hug. Like, there was a girl crying in the back because she wasn't going to get to meet him. And a younger girl, probably, 13, 14 years old, young lady. And he just, high-fived and hugged everybody. Hey, thank you guys for still appreciating the movie. Thank you guys so much for watching the movies. This means the world to us. And it was just like, that was so dope, man. Like, that was the coolest shit. That's the most G shit ever. Like, that's, like, it was really cool. And it really made me feel good to know that somebody, I grew up very punk rock as well. So Salt Lake City Punk was a movie that meant so much to me. And watching this guy that in so many different genres of life and movie be a good person really, really meant a lot to me. You're not just a pretty face that adorably spits when he gets too excited. You're somebody that is just a wonderful human being. And to show that to these people that you could have been like, rules are rules, guys, lines caps, it had nothing to do with him. But you could see that it bothered him, that he had that many people there, that he literally got up and just walked through and started high-fiving and hugging people. Like, it was, to me, like such a special moment to be able to watch that happen and be there in person while that was happening. Monica's unfrozen. So Monica, you haven't been here. So this didn't work out in your favor. A question I asked these ladies that now I get to ask you, and you don't get to think about it either.
Oh, okay.
We talked about your first horror movie, Monica, being Signs, and what that meant to you, and that means the world to me.
Mhm.
But now, my little buddy Ghostface has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Monica? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
That is so hard. It's so hard. Oh my God. What have I said in the past? What did I say in what have I said in other interviews? Quick, someone.
Monica.
Except The Witch. You always talk about The Witch.
Yeah.
I
The Witch
never
used
tell
to
anybody
be-
I ask this question, because that's the reaction I want right there. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Uh-oh.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Oh man. Okay. I mean, I always say The Witch, but I feel like that's changed over time. I love that movie so much. I think it's so great, but I don't know. I love having like a fun time while I watch a horror movie. Because I find, that's why a lot of people like horror. The thrill of feeling fear is like an endorphin thing for.
No.
Oh no.
An endorphin thing for what, Monica?
Did I what?
You're back.
Did I freeze again?
Yeah.
Oh, what the hell? My whole Wi-Fi went down in the entire house, so I have no idea what's happening. Like the whole router went out for everyone.
Sydney's tornado
That's
was
the
coming
prank.
for you.
Yeah, what the hell? Sydney's the one with the tornado. I'm in LA. It's sunny out.
No Sharknadoes?
Yeah.
No Sharknadoes today, unfortunately. But yeah, Sharknado I can say is not my favorite horror movie. That is something I can say with confidence. Gosh, I'm like totally drawing a blank right now. We always love Scream. I always say that I love House of Wax so much. I know we talked about House of Wax earlier, but what is that what you said?
Sydney said Scream and I said House of Wax as one
No
of mine.
way.
Chelsea
Okay.
said
Yeah,
House of Wax,
I
Sydney
love
said
when we
Scream.
agree.
That is the greatest thing ever.
Okay, House of Wax is so much fun. I love that Paris Hilton is in it. Okay, she does great. We already talked about Chad
really
Michael
good.
Murray. Yeah, we get some like horrifying body horror. And we get the ending. The credits song is Helena by My Chemical Romance, which is one of the greatest songs of all time. We watched it for the pod last year, and then I listened to Helena on repeat, and Scream sang it in my house every single day for like a month and a half. And my boyfriend almost left me. He was not having
You know what
it.
you could have done? The minute he started walking out that door, you could have been like, "We'll meet again when both our cars collide, asshole."
Oh my God. Yeah. So I guess we're all really in sync here at Spooky Tuesday.
You guys are so in sync. Your favorite horror movies are syncing up now. This is
There you
insane.
go.
I love it so much. So,
We've all
um,
fused.
I have one last question for you ladies. And we're at the third act. The credits are about to roll. The curtain's about to drop. I told you I was going to say it again. So I'm going to say it again. The social media links and the podcast links are all down here in the description, guys. So make sure you're checking that out. What we're going to do now is we're going to go back to your first horror movie. So Chelsea, we're going to go back to the Lost World Jurassic Park. And what we're going to do is we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking it on production, quality, acting, score, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing here is strictly ranking it on how much it affected you on first viewing. So with you, it was the Lost World Jurassic Park. Would you rank that 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being very effective? You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. What would your ranking of the Lost World Jurassic Park 2 be?
I say 5 skulls. I ran out of the room.
When you watch a movie like this, that's pretty much ensured a 5 skull ranking.
Yeah, I was like, I can't bear to be in this room any longer. It is literally unbearable. I have to leave. It was too scary.
That's so awesome. That's great. I love that answer. What about you, Sydney? We're going back to Halloween. What would you rank that? 0 skulls being the worst, 5 being most effective. What would your ranking of Halloween be?
I'm gonna do a 4 out of 5 skulls for me because again, it is like it's not the scariest movie ever, but God, does it build suspense, and the music still creeps me out to this day, and I love it. I love it so
the
much.
score in that movie is so impactful. I consider that
Yes.
up there with Psycho and Jaws, where people that have never seen these films know the scores to them. You know, like that's how impactful the score is for Halloween. John Carpenter shopped Halloween and didn't get a buyer. He wrote the Halloween piano lick and he got someone to buy it a couple weeks later. So that can show how impactful a score or an opening title sequence can be to a film. So now I'm going to bounce back down over here, Monica. We're going to be talking about your first horror movie, which was Signs.
Mhm.
Now, again, 0 skulls, not effective. 5, very effective. Half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. What would your ranking of Signs be?
Hard to say because it didn't get me on the alien train. I was already on the alien train. In the year 2000 for Halloween, I dressed as an original creation of my own making, a millennium alien. And I dressed in all silver with silver paint and then those like really terrible like sport glasses that kind of look like alien eyes. And then I had a headdress that was
Picture, it
the
didn't happen.
antenna that said 2000 on up top, which I still have those to this day. So I was already that alien girl. But I think this definitely reinforced that. Also, I think something about this movie is that the fact that I was a little kid and there are little kids in this movie for me to relate to, like it felt more real, like this could be happening to me. So I think that really scared me. And I mean, it was my entry point into horror. Like my parents are older, they hate horror, they're not about it. They're like, only happy things can happen in movies. So like this was really eye-opening for me, that to see more. So I would say like a 4.5 for me, skulls. So yeah, I like that it's skulls.
No, like, yeah, for sure. And I love the fact that you are three best friends with three completely different starts to the horror world, but they've all led you to this point. And like I said, we all disagree on what we love, what we hate, and that's what makes life so much fun. If we all had the exact same opinion, none of us would have a podcast because we'd have nothing to talk about. We wouldn't be any different than anybody else. So I
Yeah.
love the fact that I got the chance to hang out with you three ladies. This has been genuinely a very fun time. I've laughed.
Thank you.
I've cried a little bit when Monica froze. I've gone through about
I cried too.
every emotion I could possibly go through. So don't go anywhere, ladies. Please, I have a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, one last time, links, description, click. But until next time, guys, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.